All right. Good afternoon, everybody. It's my pleasure to turn this over to Councilmember Lori Kinnear, Chair of the Public Safety and Community Health Committee.
Thank you. Welcome, everybody, to the February meeting, Public Safety. And can't believe it's February, but it is. So we're going to start out with approval of the minutes. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Is it second?
Second.
Great, thank you. All in favor? Aye.
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 Any opposed? And any abstentions? Okay, thank you. We are going to mix it up a little bit to respect everybody's time who is not working inside the city. So we're going to start with our interview. Councilmember Wilkerson and I chose, I think, a wonderful candidate for OPO Commission, Lily, and you all get to hear a little bit about her and ask questions. So, Lily, welcome, and why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you, Council Member Kinnear. Can everybody hear me? Yeah. So those of you who don't know me, my name is Lili Navarrete, and I've lived in Spokane for 30 plus years with my family. We immigrated from Mexico City, so Spokane is our second home. We've been involved with our Latinx community since the beginning of arriving here in Spokane, and seeing our community grow is wonderful. I try to join every possible or get any opportunity to help our community within the city or volunteer. This opportunity for the Ombudsman Office, I feel it's a great opportunity to have representation from our Latinx community. I have just deep roots. I feel that I'm a good advocate, and I'll be a good representative to work in the city and for my community. I'm currently Director of Public Affairs at Planned Parenthood of Greater Washington in North Idaho, and I'm also the Program Manager for RAIZ, which is a an outreach Latinx program between Planned Parenthood and the Latinx community. And that's me briefly.
Thank you. Who has questions for Lily? Councilmember Stratton, go ahead.
I just have a quick one, Lily. What makes you interested in the Ombudsman Commission?
There's a lot going on with police accountability. Also, I'm not gonna lie, but there's concerns. There's mistrust within the Latinx community with, the police force. And I feel that if one of us, and I mean one Latino or Hispanic, is part of this group, we can communicate what's happening and get that, fear or questions that are out there within my community.
Very well said. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Any other questions? Councilmember Cathcart.
Yeah, thank you for being here. I guess I'm just kind of wondering, is there any anything specific, a specific incident or anything like that you think is driving some of that mistrust, and what do you think members of the commission can do really to really try and address mistrust that might be out there, either widespread in the community or within certain groups?
Sure, it's a great question. So a lot of our community members that may have emergencies or are in need of calling the police or report a crime or domestic violence victims hesitate to call police because, number one reason is their immigration status. Even though the Washington Working has passed in Washington State, there's still a fear that if they report a crime or if they're being or something is being committed against their person, if they call the police, they are the ones that are going to be in trouble and being taken because the language barrier and immigration status, and also because the color of their skin. So that's something that I believe my goal would be to break or try to work with.
Councilmember Wilkerson, is your hand up?
Yes.
Oh, go ahead.
Thank you. Again, thank you, Lily, for being here. I know that you also serve on the Commission of Hispanic Affairs for the state. Is there any connection of issues at the state level that you see actually comes down to the city level, where there would be an intersection where your experience, their knowledge would be helpful here in Spokane?
Yeah, I mean, last year we were part of the Keep Washington Working, and if some of you are familiar with that, if some of you are not, briefly, what that is when a person that is of, well, quote unquote, questionable immigration status gets pulled over, the police officer cannot ask their immigration status. That is against the law now. The Commission of Hispanic Affairs pushed for that to be passed. Also, I feel that the advocacy for that, the experience that, testifying and handling, or to work in behalf of getting that bill passed will help me to advocate from the Ombudsman's office to my community and in the opposite too. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Any other questions? Okay. Lily, thank you so much for your service to our community. And Council President, is this going to be approved tonight?
Yes, it is. And I also wanted to welcome you, Lily. And you don't need to be here tonight. It's really just a formality, the vote, but we will take it. And we're so excited to have you. Thank you.
Likewise. Thank you.
Great. Thanks again, Lily.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to, before we go on, we're going to hear from Sergeant Sperry, but before we go on, we have a very tight agenda, and we are going to try and have more of a conversation rather than a lot of presentations. So if you have questions, if you want to discuss, I encourage that. Kind of my New Year's resolution for public safety is let's get more of a conversation going with council, between council members, but also between council and staff, because we don't get an opportunity to do that as much as we'd like. So next up is going to be Sergeant Sperry, who's going to give us a quick overview on K-9, and then we're going to go right to Councilmember Wilkerson and Tony Lodge for their presentation. So Sergeant Sperry, I saw you, but now I don't see you. So there you are. Thank you. Go ahead. Hey, are you unmuted? We can't hear you. So could either Hannalee or Jacoby help us, perhaps? Or anybody else that's tech savvy, like Councilmember Burke?
Do you have headphones in by chance? Because I think maybe, oh, okay.
Okay. we come back to you?
Yeah, and also if you log in, if you log out, like get out of the meeting and log back in, sometimes that helps. So maybe try that, and we'll move on to the next one, and then come back.
Thank you, Councilmember Burke. Okay, so next up, again, to make best use of our guest time, we're going to have Tony Lodge, the Native Project, and that is the MOU between SCD and the Native Project. And Councilmember Wilkerson, you're the lead on this, so do you want to kick us off?
Thank you, Councilmember Kinnear, and thank you for not asking me for technical assistance. So I've had the opportunity to be meeting with Tony Lodge and a group of urban natives in the city, and in our discussion, it came up that they have a MOU with the Spokane Police Department that's going to expire in 2021 of February. And so once we discovered that, we pulled it back out and have been discussing with them as do they want to continue it. But we wanted to bring it before council to remind everybody what that was, why it came about, and the expectations, and how do we go forward with that. So Tony was one of the original signers on that agreement, so I'm going to turn it over to her to lead us down this path. Thank you, Tony, and welcome. And Maureen.
I just wanted to know, do you want me to share the document at all?
Absolutely. I'll let you two tag team it.
Well, this would be the it's almost the same as the last one. I just added a little bit of language in that might be more comfortable. I know there was some language in the last one that there was some hesitation on, so I'll share the one that I added the new language in, but it's pretty much the same as the last one. So,
okay.
So I'll just give you a really brief history of how it came to be. I think it was in 2017 when 4 out of the 7 Spokane citizens that were shot and some killed in interactions with the Spokane Police Department. The Native Project, as the largest urban Indian organization in Spokane, held a series of 3 community meetings, of which some of you attended. The police department administration came. Lots of community members came. Our room was full, and it holds 100 people. Really having a very painful discussion about why this is. And this was before George Floyd. It wasn't in Minneapolis or the Deep South. This was in Spokane, the condition of the interaction between the city and our community. So out of that came, Maureen is a well-known Native attorney who works here at Native Project, crafted and drafted with another community member this MOU, trying to work out whatever the painful interaction has been. And actually, it worked. Our work was done for that year because there were no Native shootings the next year. But as I understand, talking to Chief Meidel and some other people, is that this agreement was probably outside of this committee, the Public Safety Committee for sure, that there was some resistance from staff, legal, but I think because it saved lives and there were no more shootings that I know of, it did its job. But it's not the end all be all. We have to move forward with a more of an agreement between the city and the urban Indian community. As you know, the Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women Act was passed federally. They've hired a Washington State federal Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women person that we are to answer to. The state has hired 2, one for Eastern Washington, one from Western Washington. And the agreement, we preliminarily set up a mechanism to have those conversations when missing and murdered Indigenous people are in Spokane, whether they're children, whether they're teenagers, whether they're people passing through. I know we have a couple missing right now. We set up a preliminary meeting with Sergeant, I don't know what you are, Brad Arliss, I don't know, and the chief. We did not get a lot of traction, and I feel like because we are so disproportionately represented in our criminal justice system as well, with police encounters in jail, and we have so few resources that we really have to continue working together. So go ahead, Maureen.
I've been scrolling through this, but I guess the biggest issue that I remember from the last negotiation was the county or the city was hesitant to sign a contract, or it wasn't a contract, a memorandum of understanding, because they didn't want it to be construed as a contract, which a memorandum of understanding is basically a handshake saying, yeah, we're gonna try and do these things. So I added in language that it's non-binding, it's not a contract, it doesn't create any rights or benefits, just to make it more clear that this is not a contract. It's just an understanding with us and a handshake, basically a handshake that we are gonna treat each other this way. And the part of it was how we would treat the police department, but also that we agreed to work together as for some biannual community conversations to discover or to discuss any kind of the SPD and the Native community, any kind of relationship, as well as that the SPD was going to notify and debrief Native Project on any critical incidents. And as I recall, this basically, I mean, from the last 2 years, I believe we may have, I'm not even sure if we ended up having biannual community conversations. We did hear once on the missing and murdered Indigenous women. So it's kind of, I mean, you're not legally bound to do these things, but we really would like it to be more adhered to, just because we know a lot of the people in the community, if we don't, somebody else does, and that we could probably figure out who their family is and how to help resolve if they actually are missing. So, and that's the gist of it is, again, it's not a contract, it's an understanding. We're just saying, okay, we're going to treat each other like this. And this, like Tony said, this came out of it came out because of the violence, the extended violence with the Native community. But I thought it helped too as well, because we did not have any shootings with Native people in a while. So I think that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
Councilmember Wilkerson, did you want to add anything?
Well, I just know that in my discussions with Tony and the group, it is not a contract, but it was good faith. And they felt that it should be continued going forward more now than ever, as we all try to continue on this road of healing in our community, just across the board for all cultures. And that we just wanted to looked at it. We really wanted it to be signed again. And I know Chief is on the line, so I really would like to hear any comments he has to share, since he was part of this first one.
Thank you. Chief Meidel, do you want to say a few syllables?
Absolutely. Only a few. Okay. So yeah, we met last February. I remember we were with Tony and Maureen as well. And then, if you remember, the following month, COVID hit and the lockdowns all basically continued throughout most of the rest of the year. So that made the agreement to meet twice a year. And by twice a year, that's more of a formal community conversation, much like several ones we had the prior years there. COVID certainly changed all of that. In terms of the MOU, there's absolutely discussion with legal anytime we sign any kind of document like that. Wisdom says, make sure you have your experts go through this at all. And really the main concern wasn't doing the MOU per se, but also as a law enforcement agency, I just wanted to make sure that everyone understood we have an obligation to all of the community, Native community, African American community, Asian community, Pacific Islander community. So I didn't want us as an agency to put in a position where we are pulling resources away from all these other entities as well, and that we have to respond based on priorities. And we had good conversations about that, and actually talked with Tony and Maureen. They totally got that as well. So I think it worked out well. Hopefully we'll be out of the whole COVID thing here in a couple months and be able to start getting together on these meetings again, the community meetings.
Can I just say it was actually not last year, Craig, it was the year before. It was February of 2019. So not February of 2020.
Okay. I had a meeting on my calendar for February 2020. It may have been about something different as well back then. But really? I got one.
So this is Tony, and I just want to add, I think we've really worked hard again to do the community organizing, to hear voices from the community. We're an organization that serves people from over 300 tribes in the United States. We're federally recognized tribal members that still have citizenship rights as tribal members, as well as citizenship rights as Spokane City residents and Washingtonian citizens. I do think it gives us some parameters to have an agreement. I agree that all people need to be recognized, but I think the specific needs of Native people need to be operationalized. And we worked really hard on building this roadmap. Again, we've paid for those community events, those community meetings, and I just would like, as this public safety committee goes forward, that we operationalize this agreement again. We built it, but we didn't really drive it the last time. That we become much more respectful of each other's classes.
Aaron or Lyden, please call extension 101. Aaron or Lyden, 101.
Sorry, we're at a clinic. Sorry. And that we really undertake more of a mutual lift. I know Brian has suggested the police review, that we really have this conversation at a much deeper level as we move forward. And we have a roadmap to do so.
Can I add just real quick to one of the things, and I want to give appreciation to Tony as well. So we have a post academy. Every time we get new recruits that go through the 4.5 academy, we have a 3-week post academy. And one of the things we've been trying to do for the last several years is have impacted community come into our post academy, and post academy is only Spokane police officers. So I know Tony was at one we did last year as well. And really what the goal of that is to have community of color talk about their experiences and what their thoughts are when they see either police car or police officer, talk about the stories they've heard. So at least as the officers, before they hit the street, they're at least having that perspective as well. So I do want to give a shout out to Tony for being willing to do that as well with our Post Academy.
And that would be like the first step. My second step on that, Craig, is we'd like to do training. I mean, that's kind of like the show and tell part of it. This is the narrative, but I think we need to dig in and do some cross training and really get conversations going between our communities.
So, Councilmember Wilkerson, will you be taking the lead on this, or will Council President Bay, or both of you?
I think it'll be both of us at this point in time, but if not, I'd be more than happy to lead the charge.
Okay, and so then you can keep us updated on the progress and as it goes forward,
yes,
what the rest of us need to do to help make this happen.
And Councilmember Cathcart has his hand up.
Oh, yes, he does. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. One comment. I don't have any issues with the MOU, but I would just point out that there's one bullet in there that says SPD will respond to Native projects requests for assistance or support in a timely manner. And I would just point out that I don't think we can truly make that commitment for the entire community. And I think that really should be a goal of ours. So as long as this is we're doing the best we can, it's not contractual, I fully support it. But I think if it ever gets to a point where we're guaranteeing that sort of response, I think we're going to have a bigger conversation.
That is why I put the language in at the top, that it's not a contract, it's a handshake basically, but we'll try to do your best.
Okay, we're going to move on. Tony, thank you so much for presenting. Councilmember Wilkerson, thanks for getting this on our agenda and moving this forward. Is Sergeant Barron?
Councilmember Kanu, before you move on?
Yep.
I think Chief Schaefer had his hand up. I don't know if he was waving at me or he wanted to talk. Where'd you go?
There he is. Did you want to say something?
Thank you, Lori. I don't believe that this concern that Tony may have is limited only to the police department. So I would just offer that our doors open also, and I'd kind of like to collaborate a little bit with PD and take advantage of this conversation. If you'll have us, we'd be more than happy to join in.
Yeah, you've been very approachable in the past, and I hope that continues in the future. So thank you.
Yeah, of course. Just slip us in.
Okay.
Thank you, Chief. good collaboration. I like that. Sergeant Sparing, are you audible?
Am I?
Yes, you are. Do you want to go ahead?
Yes, I do. Thank you. I switched to an Apple product. No preference there. So deployment status for January. We deployed 83 times January of 2021. We had 39 people located or captured, and we did have one contact. That brings us to a 2.56 byte ratio for January. Actually broke that down a little further because the first 2 weeks of January were 67.5% of our deployments. And so the last 2 weeks have been exceptionally slow. And our contact did happen within that first 2 weeks of January, where it was just very busy for some reason or another. Capture of the month highlight goes to Haywire and Officer Stone. I was trying to use my work computer prior, so Councilwoman, I appreciate your help trying to get me on there, but it wasn't going to work. So I can share a photo of with you of a loaded handgun skidding across the pavement towards Officer Stone and Haywire. They were used with our night pack team to contact a suspect and take him into custody. He was wanted on several felony warrants, as well as possession of firearms charges, drug-related charges. He was also known to be armed at the time. Stone and Haywire put themselves between the suspect and his vehicle to prevent him from getting into his vehicle, gave verbal commands as he drew a loaded handgun from his waistband and threw it, ironically, at Officer Stone and Haywire. He then laid down on the ground and was taken into custody with no use of force whatsoever. Officer Stone interviewed him after the fact, and he stated simply, "I did not want to get bit by the dog, so I decided to throw my gun." Obviously our dogs are used for those capabilities, and I was super happy to see that incident resulted in zero use of force, because that could have been obviously a deadly situation. So that's our January recap. I appreciate your time.
As always, we appreciate your time as well. Thank you for that. Are there any questions by council? All righty. We are going to go to Dusty. And you know what? I haven't seen you for a year. So nice to see you.
Good, nice to see you, council member. I know you mentioned we're kind of got a tight agenda. I saw on the agenda I have 10 minutes. I have a presentation. How would you like me to proceed?
Go ahead and just present. Try not to read your presentation because we can read. And
Roger that.
We can ask questions.
All right. So I'm pulling this up. I'm going to be I'm asking for approval for a new position within ITSD to support the legal case management area, which right now is just where in the future it will be E-Series. And I'm going to do that by going through and highlighting the leap that we've taken in both technical complexity as well as business management complexity by going from an unintegrated solution in Justware to a fully integrated solution in E-Series. These are kind of some of the things we'll take a look at. We'll just look quickly at the municipal core operating landscape. Most folks here are familiar with that. Then we'll take a look at the two legal case management systems. Justware is our current system, E-Series, which is our future state, and some of the deltas between those two systems. And we'll talk about what changes in business management complexity that has resulted in as we sum things up. So if I'm going too fast or you guys want to ask me a question, please feel free to interrupt.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes, ma'am.
This is Karen. Just looking at the Justware, when did we purchase that?
I believe it's 2008, but Howard Delaney's on the phone, so I'm going to ask him to backstop me on that.
Yes, initially purchased for prosecutor, public defender, probation in 2008, and then ultimately purchased for the court in, I believe, 2010, full implementation in the court occurring on August 2013.
Okay. Howard, it's good to see your face and hear your voice.
Nice to see you, councilperson.
Okay, and Howard can correct me wherever I drift off here. So the thing about the municipal court operating environment, having just been involved in the last 2 to 3 years with Howard and the teams, it's very dynamic, it's ever changing. I mean, the court rules are changing all the time from federal, state to local. There's a ton of volume that goes through the municipal court, infraction and criminal cases. You can see the numbers there. And as far as warrants that have to be managed from issuance to all the way through the life cycle. I watched Law and Order and different criminal justice shows on TV. It seemed that complex, but when I got into it, there's upwards of, I'm going to guess, 300 or more different business processes that are agency to agency specific, internally specific to an agency, and a lot of those are currently manual. So there's a lot of printing, scanning, emailing, and things that we're familiar with seeing around the city. So very dynamic, very ever-changing, high volume of things going on there, and a lot of complexity in their business processes. So this is a tool, this is the footprint of the tool that we have supporting them today. It's small compared to the next slide you'll see. Right now, based on the technical footprint, it requires 2 full-time employees, 2.5 full-time employees to support. This is supporting Howard to enhance when the change comes down from the higher courts. This is to respond to outages or different things within the system that might go a little wonky from time to time. There's very minimal integration between the different agencies. We have one integration here that delivers 3 or 4 very specific things between the prosecutor's office and the public defender. And we have a very small number of external integrations. You don't see LERMs on there where all of our citations and police reports and things live. You don't see Jail Tracker on there where we use a lot of the custody information to plan out cases. This now comparatively, we're going from horse and buggy to a Lamborghini, if you will, as far as the amount of technology we're bringing into the business environment. So these yellow lines here represent where we've automated data and document exchanges, everything from filing motions to providing court dates, that sort of thing that happens today manually. For the initial launch, we're going to automate approximately 30 of those. And remember, there's still about 140, 150 out there that we can still probably go after in the long term. So there's going to be a huge lift in capacity buyback with this because just the efficiency of not having to send email, retrieve it, download documents, and hand load them into the case or type data into the case. It's just going to be a huge operational time savings, as well as all of these external integrations that we're building. I'll pick on FMS for a minute. Right now, the reconciliation between city court or city accounting and court accounting is all done manually. Somebody walks over from City Hall, manually picks up reports, paper reports, and walks them back to City Hall, and they do the reconciliation. That's for the most part going to be automated. We'll send the data to them. And then LERMs, where one of the big things we're really excited about is automating the warrant exchange between the court and the police records team. So there's a lot of information, a lot of things that we're going to be able to do in a lot better way. The thing about this platform too, eSeries, is it's an advanced platform. It goes from a client installation of Justware to a web-based application, and not to sound too nerdy or anything, but what that does, it gives us a ton more flexibility to support remote work, especially the COVID environment we're in right now, as well as the platform is very extendable. It can be configured and built out to do pretty much anything you want which is one of the it's a double-edged sword. You can get yourself in trouble if you try to get a little too cute with it. So one of the other things that we need help with is figuring out the long-term roadmap and architecture for this whole platform as we progress forward, so we don't paint ourselves in any sort of technical corner that won't allow us to expand in other areas. So size, complexity, we're taking a quantum leap. The business management complexity is, so what we hear, and through the research we've done and what we hear from our vendor, no jurisdiction in the country or anywhere else for that matter has ever successfully integrated all 4 criminal justice agencies between court, prosecutor, public defender, and probation. They tell us that most of the times they can't even get, in other jurisdictions, they can't even get the prosecutor and the public defender's office to get in the same building, much less the same conference room, to agree on things. And that's what this integrated solution requires. It requires the agencies to agree on standards for document format and content, for what we're passing back and forth from as far as data elements go. You can't have a certain set of statuses in court and a different set of statuses in public defender, because when they exchange, they won't exchange. They won't exchange nicely. So it requires everybody to come to the table and agree on how are we going to do this. And also, it helps us formalize our business process. One process may be done 4 different ways by 3 different people in the current environment in Justware, because the automation does not sort of drive the actions, the responsibilities, and the ownership of the people involved in the process. Automation does. Between the technical complexity and the business management complexity, which far outscale anything we're used to today with Justware, is the purpose of this higher level business systems analyst position. We aren't necessarily skill setted to do that level of interagency management and long-term solution planning and architecture road mapping for this thing, because you have to really know the agencies and what they do in order to make good informed decisions about how to solve business problems in the system. So those 2 things have to come together. So you can see there some other things, of why we're asking for this position. But I think the biggest thing is we've seen in different applications across the city where we've invested in a platform, but we haven't taken the next step, which is to invest in the right people around that platform to make sure we can continue, or we can actually realize the benefit of that investment, and continue to realize the investment by enhancing and maturing that product and its place in our business and our operational environments. I'm afraid if we don't have this level of position, we are going to find ourselves in the same position we've been in for a while with Justware, is that it has gone largely, it hasn't advanced. Part of that is the limitations of the platform. But this solution is going to give us a lot of opportunity. And if we don't capitalize on that, we're going to regret it.
So at this point, I'm going to interrupt you. You have done a tremendous amount of work on the research and the presentation, and I'm convinced, but some of the council members may have questions, so if you don't mind, I'll open it up to Councilmember Stratton. Go ahead.
Just a quick one. As you roll this position out, will current employees have the opportunity to apply for it if they want?
Yeah, I believe we haven't worked out the details with civil service, so they'll help us with that. But I believe what it'll end up being is a promotional and an open. I want to see who's out there. I want to cast a wide net, because if you've been spending the last 20 years doing financial systems or something for that matter, that's not really going to help here. Ideal candidate is somebody who comes in and has experience with legal case management systems, has experience working with our agencies. That might be an internal person. It may very well be an external person.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Question?
Councilmember Kinnear?
Go ahead.
For Dustin, I certainly understand the need for new and improved technology. What have been some of the hiccups that you've actually heard back? If you can't tell me it's all been roses.
Oh, yeah.
What are a couple of challenges that we have to be prepared to engage with going forward?
In this new solution, Councilmember? Yes.
Yes.
So, we got a discounted price 3 years ago on this solution because a lot of the technology, some of the technology that we were going to be relying on to do the internal data exchanges and the external data exchanges didn't necessarily exist. So in some ways we are, we're kind of the cutting edge or bleeding edge, however you want to think about it, because we're, in a lot of cases, we're the first ones to implement these frameworks. So we have had some challenges with it, and we've found the hard way that it works really well in some places and it doesn't work really well in other places. That's where we've had to get sort of creative with our own technical folks and come up with ways to work through some of those challenges. So it's kind of another reason, another point into having a senior person there to help navigate some of those things. I think that's probably on the technical side, it's continuing to work through and continue to exercise some of this unproven, it's not necessarily unproven, we've been testing it for a year, but put these new frameworks through their paces. On the business side, I think the biggest thing that we can probably expect, the biggest challenge and risk that we can expect on that for moving forward is getting everybody to agree on what we want to do and what the priorities of those enhancements need to be given our small, our relatively small factory size of doing more work. That's why the roadmap is important. So we know, in second quarter of 2022, we want to build an integration with the state's legal case management system, or we want to do this next big thing. There's always programs and things, new things coming up to support, like probation. I think Michael Diamond's on as well, and Howard's there too. So I think it's going to be a lot of customer management on the business side and making sure we keep expectations in check, as well as getting people, when we do decide to do something, agree on how we do it.
If I may, Dusty, one of the other challenges has been when we started into this system, we were looking at the parameters of the blueprint for reform. And if you haven't read that recently, principally it was saying the software systems within our jurisdiction need to function so that we can exchange data and information relatively seamlessly between us, the county, the state, the 3 levels of courts that are here, etc. And if you can see from Dusty's interrelated green boxes, we are literally connecting with the police and LERMs, the jail tracker system in the jail, the state, which will then be a seamless exchange which pushes data to all the other courts no matter which system they're using. When the court enters a court date for a future court date in court, the public defender, prosecutor, and probation automatically has it. So literally the discount price that we managed to negotiate was also based on the fact, as Dusty mentioned, we will be the only jurisdiction, regardless of case management platform, that has this level of state and local integration. And so when this is complete, we will literally be the shining star of information exchange and giving us a much better ability, council members, when you ask us for data about this and that, we can literally run ad hoc reports. So again, putting us on the cutting edge of criminal justice including the ability to produce coherent information on demand. And so the challenges is this level of complexity in making all these connections. And IT has done a Herculean job to this point, and we're close to taking the court live on March 8th. Really need a person who can be in overall IT command of this system, if you will, and take us across the finish line. So to the extent as an end user, I can encourage your consideration and approval of this position. I would wholeheartedly do so.
Okay, so I'm going to, Council President, I was going to move on. Can you be quick?
I, of course, will be quick, but I just wanted to lend my support for this. This is an expense that will save us so much money down the road, just in operational expenses and things, but also for those of you who have other interests in terms of criminal justice reform, racial equity. This enables and empowers all those efforts. And as Dusty said, it got all the silos talking to each other, and that's really just going to help public safety so much. So couldn't be more excited for the next evolution of this.
Both Justin and Howard, thank you so much for this presentation. And Council, if you have further questions, of course, I know they'll be available to do a one-on-one with you and answer your questions. So we are going to move on. Appreciate this. It sounds just great. So I am in full support. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.
We have Michael Diamond, CARES by and for grant. Michael, are you here?
Yeah. Good afternoon. I believe Howard is going to start if he would jump in.
Yeah, if I could lay the background. Spokane Municipal Court has not historically had pretrial services at its disposal in the operation of the court system. When the county began receiving money from the MacArthur grant, we were allowed access to screening and supported release / supervision from the Office of Pretrial Services with the county. We found that beneficial in that it provided information for us when we were considering release from people for jail, setting bonds, etc., which allows us to basically make decisions under Court Rule 3.2 under who needs to be released, who needs to be kept. The more information we have and the more services we have to support the release, the less people that we have to keep in custody, and the more we can release pretrial and still hopefully have them return to court. Unfortunately, based on changes in MacArthur and the grant, our access to county pretrial services ended on December 31. So we're back with nobody being pretrial screened in the jail. We don't really have any supportive relief services. So what we're trying to do is to leverage the money council allocated from public safety for these services. We're still working on developing a program to present. And all of a sudden this CARES grant basically surfaced, which provides up to $250,000 to focus on various marginalized communities in criminal justice. And those would include various racial and ethnic communities, immigrants, refugees, LGBTQ, and individuals with various physical challenges, as well as specifically the Native American community. So what we're trying to look to do is get additional funding in order to put together a comprehensive supported release and navigator program for those who might otherwise be held in jail here in the city of Spokane. Any of you that are familiar with our annual jail costs and the cost of incarcerating people for various lower level municipal offenses realize that somewhere between $125 and $130 a day is a very expensive way to try to go about assuring people appear at their next court date. So again, we were able to identify this particular grant and hoping we can stand up our own pretrial system so we can reduce levels of pretrial incarceration and make people more successful in pretrial release. With that bit of background, I'm going to turn it over to Michael, who actually wrote this grant app for us, and who is our Chief Probation Officer and truly an expert in the field. So with that, Michael.
Oh, thank you, Howard, and good afternoon, everyone. As Howard really outlined, I won't go into greater detail about the grant, but the hope at this point is really creating an integrated system that includes pretrial services and navigation. And the goal of this integration is really to provide court referrals, voluntary service referrals, focusing on transportation, getting those court reminders taken care of, but also utilizing and capitalizing on best practices and promising practices in pretrial that will work to eliminate unnecessary pretrial detention, promote individualized examinations, promote release on personal recognizance based on assessment, and creating new diversion opportunities so that individuals can get dismissals of their citations so that they can avoid the convictions on their criminal history. And it may help to minimize cash bail overall, which will help those individuals that fall within impoverished groups. So this is really an integrated system that will really be taking the best of every practice in pretrial, taking from Pretrial Justice Institute, the Bail Project, the National Pretrial Center, and taking that and really integrating it for the city of Spokane.
Thank you. Do we have questions for council? That sounds great. Again, go ahead, Councilmember.
Well, yeah, I just had a quick one. So this may or may not have to do with this particular line, but I'm just wondering, is any of this funding going to be used for like COVID relief in terms of the sickness and people who are in and out of jail at all? And if so, or if not, I'd like to know that. And then is there anything you guys are doing in terms of vaccines at the municipal level? I don't know where that is in any of the phases, and I was just wondering if you guys knew that.
Well, I can answer the Coronavirus Supplemental Fund, which is what we're applying for. The grant is intended to provide services and funding for programs, services, or positions that have been required as a need based on the coronavirus. And so we're trying to fill a gap in the justice system by using this fund and providing a new service that's never been created or used before by the municipal court. As far as vaccinations, we fall under the city guidelines and Department of Health, and so we're not providing vaccinations to defendants other than what they can receive on their own.
Even if they are being incarcerated, I just feel like, I know it's not your guys' decision, but it just seems to me with people in a small space that's going to be there for a little bit of time, seems like that might be a great way to stop the spread of this. So I just didn't know if that was in any phases.
If I may, Detention Services is in charge of vaccinating their inmates and their staff, and they're actually, I believe, in the phase now where that staff is vaccinated. Court is in 1B2, which is the phase coming up, and we just received material from the Administrative Office of the Courts, which have authorization letters for court employees, prosecutors, public defenders, and probation. So based on contact, again, those who are, seeing people every day or in crowded courtrooms have preferential vaccine. So regardless of the phase level, the court employees, including the agencies I just mentioned, prosecutor, public defender, and probation, have increased priority, and we just issued the authorization letters on Friday. So internally, we'll get vaccinated, and then those people who are incarcerated, detention services will handle that end. But for the defendant population in general, it's wherever they fall into phase finder, sort of, it's where they will be vaccinated.
Okay, thank you. That really helps.
You're more than welcome.
Thanks.
Thank you. All right, we are going to move on, and we have Chief Meidel who's going to talk about, what are you going to talk about? SPD's Community Outreach Unit. Take it away.
Vicki, I usually don't even know what I'm going to talk about until I start talking about it too, so it's exciting for me to sometimes know. Mike Schneider should be on. Mike is the sergeant that oversees our Community Outreach Unit. And Mike, are you there?
I'm here.
All right. It's all yours.
Sure. So a little background of community outreach. Community outreach for the City of Spokane Police Department consists of myself, a sergeant, and 2 officers. So for a 300-man department, that is a pretty big commitment by the city to have 3 full-time positions to reach out to the community. Our goal in the community is just to build trust and relationship with the community at large. We do that through some youth programming, community meetings, and quite honestly, my philosophy on this is I try not to say no. If somebody approaches us and wants something from the police department that's reasonable, that we can accommodate, I try and say yes, or I try and put them in touch with the right part of the department to do that with. COVID is definitely thrown a wrench into our program, just like everything else. We've got 3 programs that were 2 and then a Christmas program. So YPI, our Youth Police Initiative, is an after-school program for high school age kids. Usually run over the course of 2 weeks, 5 evenings for about a couple hours apiece. It's a time when we talk about individual decision-making and the police, and kids and police come together and talk about the decisions they made while they were in high school, and everybody finds out that everybody was faced with the same decisions to make. We got to run 3 of those in 2020. We're hopeful that once kids are back in school and there's after-school programming, that we will be back in the schools by the end of the spring. In the summertime, we run what we call PAL, Police Activities League. 2 years ago was the largest year where they had about 600 kids. Last year we had about 150 total individual kids. Each week was about 70 to 80 kids. And because of COVID, we were only able to operate with one group with the YMCA because they had protocols in place to keep everybody safe. So we did that over the course of 4 weeks in 3 different parks around, or 2 different parks around the city. Sorry, our 3rd day actually got canceled. We did run a couple of special sessions there at the Martin Luther King Jr. Outreach Center for their kids. PAL actually started in East Central, and the Martin Luther King Jr. Outreach Center has been just a tremendous partner to help get us in touch with youth and keep us involved in the community. The other program that we run, our other largest program, is our Christmas Adopt a Family program. So we started out with 6 families in 2016. This last year, 2020, we had 22 families, including 20 kids from North Central, and that was about 114 individuals total, received a Christmas gift thanks to the police department and donations from our corporate sponsors like Les Schwab, Michelle Anderson, the late J.D. Anderson's wife, and the Spokane Police Foundation. So whereas the city provides our time, the Spokane Police Foundation, the 501c3 nonprofit, provides the financing for our youth programs. It's how we basically pay for pretty much everything but our time and vehicles. And they are funded well through the communities. They have a lot of community support. There's a lot of people that just donate money because they really like what we're out there doing. We do have another program we started in 2019, but unfortunately due to COVID, it's kind of been stalled. It's PAL Boxing with Spokane Boxing downtown. We've been providing 1 day a week after-school boxing instruction with a professional boxing coach, where we get to interact with kids and they get to just exercise and get some aggression out, and we get to have some really great conversations. Unfortunately, the gyms came in and out of existence, operation for over the course of this last year. That started and stopped, and we're looking at getting that going now that things are open a little bit. We work with a number of community groups, such as the Salvation Army, the West Central Wellness Coalition, the Shada Wellness Coalition, the Northeast Support Team, Spokane Public Schools, we do quite a bit with world relief, at least we have in the last year. Earlier in this meeting, the Latinx community was brought up. Prior to COVID, I was at a dinner meeting with World Relief where I got invited to come to one of the Latinx churches and talk about the police department, and then COVID happened. We have actually engaged the Latinx community with through World Relief, helping out with some of the food distributions, and currently we've had some talks with the owner of Miranda to run maybe one of our YPI sessions for that community, specifically in that community, in that location. We also, in December, we did what we called, it's a restorative justice, is what we really call it, but there was a kid that was arrested downtown over this last summer in one of the protests. We were able to meet with him and his mother and bring him to a TAC team practice where he got to debrief what his perception of the event and how it unfolded, and the police officers got to do the same thing. And it was really helpful. Everybody got to see from each other's perspective. That is kind of, we looked at that, really liked it. We're trying to branch off with another program. We don't have a great title for it yet. I'm just calling it A Day with the Police. But it will be something similar, but it won't be specifically tied to a specific team like the TAC team or the SWAT team. It'll be a day where we talk about choices and due process and where everybody fits in the process at the time. We're hoping to work with Spokane Juvenile to make that maybe part of community service for those kids. What else we got? I'll take questions too. I would also throw out there that if anybody had any group that would like to spend time with the police and like to have us answer their questions, we are certainly available. I am easy to find. SPD Community Outreach email goes right to my email. So my door is always open. My phone is always on.
Okay, Councilmember Cathcart, go ahead.
Nope, not me.
Okay, go ahead, Councilmember Wilkerson.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for the update on your outreach program. So over the last year, all of our kids have seen so many different police images in the media, online, whatever venue you want to talk about. So are you looking at doing anything differently in your summer programs going forward? And then what type of metrics are being used really to see what the impact or efficacy of these programs are? I know they're great, but how are you tracking the work that you're doing, and how good is it, and is there room for improvement?
Well, I think there's always room for improvement in any product, process, or employment. With PAL specifically, the kids, this year we didn't do this, but in years past, kids take a survey before and after PAL, and we measure certain metrics like how they feel about the police, how they feel about drugs and alcohol. YPI, we do the same thing. We have a before and after survey that the kids fill out. I don't have those in front of me right now, but if you'd like, you and I can totally go over that later. Let me get to that. And I like our day with the police. I think a lot of the negative images and whatnot have definitely been played up in the media, and we just have a huge educational deficit. There's no civics class in high school that teaches kids about police departments, that teaches kids about why the police exist and why we do what we do, and how the police started and where we've ended up through reforms and through time. I mean, you can't compare a police department in 2021 with a police department in 1990. You can't compare one in 1990 with 1960. There's been so much that has occurred over those decades, and so much that has come into our departments and changed them that we got to fight against that. People, when they read a headline, they know that's the only thing they know. And the headlines aren't right often, but when a headline gets put out there and somebody reads it, well, we fight against that, trying to battle that cognitive dissonance that occurs then when they're faced with actual facts that don't represent what they've seen already. So I like the day with the police. I think that would be a really good one, because we can not only gear it towards kids that are coming out of Spokane Juvenile, but we could gear it towards other youth groups around the city And depending on the group, I've actually pitched it to the unaccompanied refugee minors with World Relief and Lutheran Community Services Northwest to see if they would be interested in doing that. They've approached and asked if we had products, and I threw that out there.
Councilmember Kerry, I'm going to respect your time. One quick more question.
Sure.
So just briefly, the connection between these young people's parents and the communities of color. I mentioned this to some others in the police, that there's been a significant change in the leadership in the communities of color in Spokane. And I really would like to hear at some point someone's outreach, what they're doing to reestablish those relationships and to explain how you are interacting with children. I think that'd be beneficial, along with building partnerships. I think, in my short observation, there is a serious disconnect there, and I think that could be stronger. So I love the dialogue with you about that also going forward.
I would ask to the perhaps regular updates on metrics, data on how things are going. And I understand that 2020 and probably half of 2021 is going to be unusual because we are in a COVID situation. But I think going forward, it would be nice to have that metric so we can look at it and track how we're doing and see this is making a difference. Maybe some things are going to fall off and you're going to say, this isn't worth the time or effort. Let's concentrate our efforts elsewhere. So that would be something that I would request. Councilmember Wilkerson, I don't know if you concur.
I do. Thank you, Councilmember Kinnear.
All right, we're going to move on.
If I can address that real quick.
Go ahead.
So before COVID, I was actually working with Spokane Public Schools. They were applying for a grant, and part of that grant was to be able to to be able to track the kids that attend like YPI and PAL down the road to see if we saw an improvement, and all that kind of got stalled. So this stuff is in the works, I promise you, but we'll keep working that way and stay in touch. Please do.
And so the stay in touch goes both ways. So you make sure you stay in touch with us too, because we're just an email away or a phone call. So thank you for your presentation, both Chief and Sergeant. Appreciate it. Going to move on to Maggie Yates. Can you do this in 10 minutes? I know I'm cutting you short, but hoping we can get this in 10 minutes.
Absolutely, we can move quickly. And I have Director Sparber with me as well from Detention Services. Thank you again for the invitation. We are here to share with you a little bit of information about the Intake and Release Center that was just launched last week. And if it's okay, I'll just share my screen quickly, mostly pictures for you all. The Intake and Release Center was funded with CARES relief dollars. So we got this standing up very quickly because of the original time frame. But it's really designed to handle the book and release population that traditionally over the past decade or so have been brought to the jail. This population is mostly simple misdemeanors, so very low-level charges where individuals are taken to the jail, they have their fingerprints and their photographs taken, some information put into the computer, and then they're released back to the community. And this happens within 20 or 60 minutes, depending on the day. So we're basically taking this population of folks out of the jail and moving them into the new Intake and Release Center. You can see that we're piloting it Monday through Friday, 15:20 to 23:20, 3:20 p.m. to 11:20 p.m., which is the jail's swing shift. And the goals of the project you can see here. The two primary goals are really to limit the spread and exposure of COVID-19 in jail booking by decreasing the number of folks who go in there, and then also allowing for better public health precautions because of increased space. And then the second related goal is to actually use the Intake and Release Center to help stabilize individuals by offering voluntary supportive services provided by peer navigators in the building. So I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment, but also just want to share with you the process. And I should say that the process was developed, really led by Director Sparber in Detention Services, but refined through some very impressive partnership with all of our law enforcement agencies, including Spokane Police Department. So both Captain Hendren and Captain Meidel have been incredibly useful and great partners during this process. So I want to thank SPD for your partnership in this as well. Arresting officers will take individuals to the intake and release center when they sort of have qualifying charges. And first they'll drop their property off in outdoor lockers. Then they'll go inside where NAFCARE, the jail's medical provider, will do a quick medical screen, both for COVID-19 symptoms, but also for any medical emergencies. And then detention services takes over to conduct a pat down, but then also the booking functions, including what I mentioned before, fingerprints, photographs, and data entry. And then at that point, the individual is free to go home once they have their court date, but there will be the option of meeting with a peer navigator in the facility to address any sort of immediate needs, whether that's transportation, shelter, housing, et cetera. And then you see there also is a workstation available to law enforcement in the building in case they need to quickly pull a warrant or do any other sort of administrative work while they're waiting. This is the location of the intake and release center. You can see the jail sort of at the bottom of your screen, and then the intake and release center is this rectangle off of Gardner. And the next pictures are just what it looks like in real life in a blizzard. So sort of behind it, you can see there is a jail. So they're not right next door, but they're very close in case someone does need to be escorted between either building or detention services needs to provide support in either direction. And there's a secured walkway in between the two buildings for detention services to transport folks. This is what the inside of the building looks like. So you can see the computer over on the right side of your screen is where fingerprints and mugshots are taken. And then this desk is where the other booking functions occur. The computer on the left side of your screen is that station for law enforcement in case they need it. And then there are a couple of waiting areas, one over by this computer and then one over in the back here. And there is a public telephone for anyone that needs it when they're waiting. This is just another angle of the building. The office where you see this gentleman on the phone is where NAFCARE has space. So if NAFCARE does need to have a more confidential or private conversation with someone about medical issues, they can move into that room. And then the door on the left side of this hallway you see here is where the peer navigator will be staffed. And we're still working with community organizations to get those services under contract. We're hoping that we'll have a peer in the building within the next 30 days or so. And then this is what the office looks like for the peer navigator. This closet is full of things that you can see on the next slide, such as bus passes, hygiene kits, PPE, et cetera, for the navigator to provide to individuals in terms of what they might need before they leave the facility. And then you also see there's an air purifier here. We did work very closely with the health district for the policies and procedures related to COVID-19 in this building. So this is just one of the many precautions that we instituted with their help and collaboration. So that was our very high-level brief overview. I will just say before turning it over to Director Sparber that this is what we hope to be the first phase in the Intake and Release Center. There's a lot of room to increase sort of the number of individuals who move through here. Right now, the book and release population accounts for about 13% of jail admissions. So it is a significant population, but there are ways to really leverage this building and ensure, again, that we're using opportunities in terms of contact with the legal system to stabilize individuals and help them return home safely and healthily. So Director Sparber can add anything in, but we're also available for any questions in our remaining time.
I especially like that you, I love the pictures. I love the attention to detail, such as bus passes. I think that is absolutely what we want to see are those kinds of details so that people aren't just turned loose and, yeah, hearty handshake and good luck. So thank you for that. So anything else you want to add before we go to questions?
Just if you have any questions of me, I'm happy to address them while I'm here. And also, there's some other functions that the IRC is going to serve. there's a lot of book in and outs that come or generated from the courts. We're hoping to capture those folks as well, so they don't have to leave the campus, or they can set an appointment to come over and we can do the book and release on those folks as well. And then there's a fair amount of folks that are assigned to our work release programs or out to the EHM. We'll, of course, target those folks as well. And then the DNA collection has also been kind of an issue that has been going on down at the campus. We're hoping to be able to provide some space for someone to do the collection of DNA. But to your point, I think this is a great solution to booking them into the jail. It gives us an opportunity to do the necessary administrative things that we have to do, for the courts and for law enforcement, but also gives them kind of a hand up, in some methodology for taking care of their needs once they leave. So.
Thank you. Who has questions? I know. Oh, there you go. Michael Cathcart, go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm just wondering if you happen to know, of that 13% that you said are eligible for the program or for book and release, I guess what percentage of those are, first or second time offenders versus those with a longer, more recidivist history? And then I'm also wondering, of that population, the 13% that you talked about, what is the percentage that make it to their court date without any issues?
Well, what makes up the 13% are basically those low-level charges that, yes, some of them have been, in a couple times on the same warrant, that comes with the territory. Predominantly, in working with the courts, on their third time, they're kept in jail so that they can make an appearance before the judge. And I know Howard Delaney has a lot of this information, as do some of the other court administrators. And then the folks that are going to be making it to court, that all depends on, how successful Uptrust is, which is basically a service that reaches out to people to help them not recidivate or, cause a failure to appear. It goes through our public defender's office, and Tom Kosminski is heading that up. And then it also, it's once you leave the building, it's like the same with the jail. You lose touch of them. And then when they go out there, the next real touch on them is going to be, the law enforcement. And it's been a problem for a while for Spokane, even long before I assumed this role here. But I worked a lot with the criminal justice system to try to do something about these failure to appears and recidivating population. We're hoping that once the video court is installed in the IRC, which is coming up in the future, that we'll give them a meaningful court appearance right on the spot, and then either bring some resolution to it, or sentence them, or do whatever they need to do to, get the case resolved. Because right now they're not being resolved, and they're just kind of being cast back into the pond, for lack of a better word. So we're hoping that's going to be really successful. That's really the last component of it. I see Howard on here. We worked years on trying to get a courthouse inside the jail to try to take some of those cases that fall between, the afternoon hours where when the person is booked in, they are not going to see a judge until the next day. So they're housed in jail. What we're hoping to do is to kind of bridge that gap in that middle high peak area where they'll get a court appearance and help us, cut down on some of those things. So. Breen, did you have a question?
Council President, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to just follow up. My understanding is that the people that are coming into this center are people that the alternative would be they would simply go into the jail and be released and have nothing and no follow-up. And the strategy on this is to, one, clear out an overcrowded booking area, and secondly, have them medically evaluated and have them see a peer person and get more services. So the odds of them coming back and getting on a better path are increased, as opposed to simply saying, all right, you're fingerprinted, now you're free to go. And then if we also get the video link with a judge at some point, then they'll really get some meaningful involvement in the system rather than just being released. So it's not that this is better than a jail cell for this group. It's that they wouldn't get anything but for this, is my understanding.
Yeah, thank you for that. That's exactly right. And Brian's been involved with a lot of the conversations that led up to, the IRC, and his involvement has been, fantastic. So again, the reason I brought up the other cases is that it's going to have more functions than just booking the in and outs out of the jail. It's going to try to do some connectivity to the courts to catch up their backlog. They have 200 that are waiting to be booked in and out of the jail. And those things just keep getting backed up as, the longer COVID goes on. So we're going to try to take a preemptive strike on this and try to get some of those cases coming over to the IRC so that we can help them clear up some of those backlogs. So we're expecting great things from it. It's a pilot, and as all pilots, it does have an end date. So hopefully it proves out to be a positive addition to the justice system, and we can make it work. So
please keep us in the loop. Please let us know how it's doing so that we can stay updated as well. That would be helpful. Okay, any other questions? We're going to move along. And the next two items are loosely related. We have the pod update, and then Council President wants some information about vacancies for our low barrier shelters. So, Carly, do you want to go ahead and, where are you? There you are.
Hi. Hello.
Go ahead.
Happy to take it. So I also have Jason Ruffing from Code with me today as well, and he can help fill in any blanks that I might have more specifically to the enforcement. So where we're kind of have been at, obviously COVID really impacted us last year and our ability to respond. At least initially, we kind of shut down the pod altogether from about mid-March to about the beginning of May. Simply, at the time, we were trying to limit exposure to our public safety officials, and so there were some changes there. We regrouped in the summer, went back with the pod. We had a pilot program that we were using with one of the neighborhood housing specialists from Code Enforcement that Chris Becker graciously loaned us to conduct outreach activities in-house. And so we still have our partners with Frontier Behavioral Health as well as SNAP that do the outreach. But they've been really concerned with going out with the pod because of the assumption that that's being linked with enforcement, and it's so hard to build those relationships. So they were going out separately. We weren't really sure we were getting great information. So Francie from Code took that upon herself and acted in that outreach role to go out and really kind of build those relationships, let people know what resources were available, and also doing some internal scouting. Was this camp still active? Was it vacant? And being able to send that back to Code Enforcement. So that was a really great opportunity. Unfortunately, Francie did have to transition back to her regular job last fall. So I'll get to that in a moment, but we want to keep that going when we can. So where we've been at the most recently in the past few months, and my time frame is a little iffy on this. It's just a lot going on, but I want to say it was around mid-November that we lost SPD going out with the pod again. And that was a result of our shelter space being full and the inability for them to do any enforcement. So with that in mind, they decided not to participate going out with the pod, leaving that just to Code Enforcement to go out and respond. Usually just to vacant camps. I do know they will try to go out, engage with active camps. However, there are safety concerns with that. And so if it's an active camp, if they feel like there's anything insecure going on there, they will kind of back off. Another challenge that Code Enforcement has really been experiencing is we've lost the Geiger support crews that have helped us with downtown. So prior to COVID, the Geiger crews would focus on the downtown cleanup, and the litter crew with Code Enforcement could focus on the neighborhoods and outside areas. With losing the Geiger crew, they've had to spend a lot more of their time and attention downtown. And so that limits their ability to go out and inspect the vacant camps as well. So with that, I'm sure you guys have heard the complaints. I know Jason spends a good portion of his time talking to citizens, and we triage them as well in 311, but we don't have quite the response that we were having before. So we're kind of back to where we were a couple of years ago, where it can be multiple weeks before we're able to clean up a camp. If it's still active, there's another challenge there. So we still notify our outreach partners. They're still go out doing, outreach, trying to connect people into the housing opportunities that exist. Some good news that has changed, so there is some hope on the horizon. We are getting more shelter space availability. That's been a little bit more consistent over recent weeks. So we were informed by SPD about a week ago now that they would be re-engaging with the pod and would be able to go start doing enforcement. I will say there are some challenges that we're still working through that with our legal department. Some of the feedback that why we weren't doing shelter enforcement before was shelter capacity. The advisement of legal was that the shelter needs to be a 24/7 shelter. Previously, we were doing enforcement if there was bed space the night before. Legal advised SPD that that's probably not going to be the standard that they need to abide, so it needs to be a 24/7 shelter, of which we don't have that many of, and if those were full, they wouldn't be able to do enforcement, say, at 9 a.m. Because it would be over. So that's an issue that we're still trying to work out at a cabinet level with, legal, and I think trying to work through that. I know some conversations I've had with the SPD captains, the answer to that might be that we would do enforcement at night when the shelters we know are available, but then that even provides us a more narrow window because there's only a certain amount of time that they can check in. So we're only allowed to do enforcement when they can check in. Are we rousing people from the middle of the night to say, hey, there is shelter space available right now and you should have been there? To me, that's even worse than doing it based on there was space the night before. So there's definitely a lot of challenges, again, constantly trying to maximize that balance between, a citizen report and upset about a camp that's causing, physical safety concerns or littering of the riverbank, as well as being mindful of a camper's civil rights and the ability to actually do enforcement. So really trying to balance that out. So we continue to kind of work through that, try to come up with those best answers. The other thing that we have on the table, going back to that pilot program that we had last year, was we are currently working with the social work program at Eastern Washington University to bring on a social worker position to be able to be that outreach internal position within the city to be able to conduct that outreach. And again, our whole goal is to avoid enforcement in the first place. So we're really trying to connect with resources, get them to where they need to go before we have to worry about bringing in SPD to do any type of citation. So we have an active proposal from Eastern Washington on that. Tim Ziegler and I are working with Cupid on next steps on that, but we're really excited about that potential possibility. So that's about all I have. Jason, unless you want to add anything that I missed.
No, that was a great summary. Just one quick additional point about the code enforcement team. So we, as Carly mentioned, we lost Geiger for quite an extended period of time. We're hopeful that they will be able to resume in the next 30 days or so. We're kind of just waiting to hear updates from them incrementally as they find out new information about their population there. And then the downtown route schedule has changed, which has opened up some additional time for our litter crew to focus on camps even more. So when the pilot started, we were addressing camps daily with the code enforcement litter team and SPD and outreach members when they could join. When the pod was suspended back in the spring following COVID, and then we resumed about 2 days a week. So in a limited capacity, and we're still at about 2 days a week right now, and we're hoping that can increase again once our crew has more time due to Geiger returning and just due to the schedule change.
Thank you. Who has questions? Councilmember Burke, go ahead.
Thank you. I have quite a few things that I'd like to say. First of all, Carly and Jason and then Luis, I've been in touch with a lot to share some of the issues that are going on in my community. I appreciate you guys responding and all your hard work. I think that the social worker idea is amazing. If there's anything that council can do, I'd love to see if there's ways we can put in some funding for more positions like that in the future, especially if it becomes something really positive. And then I also just wanted to note that, Carly, you had mentioned that it's super difficult sometimes with the timing and how many beds are available and whatnot. 2 points on that. One, I just wanted to note that while it's hard for your team, I can't imagine what it is like to be experiencing homelessness and having to try to figure out which places are available. So I just had to note that because, I understand what you guys are going through and that you're trying to respond to community members who are housed. But I had to point that disadvantage out there for people who don't have houses at this moment. And then the second thing is, I know Council President and I have been really heavily advocating for some sort of use of a pass or some sort of form to where we could have live counting of the beds available. And in my opinion, and legal, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Chair, I feel like if we don't have a good count, a good idea on how to count the beds that are currently available, we should not be doing any sort of sweeps at all or any sort of things like that are putting people who are unhoused in that predicament. So, I think the faster we can move on some sort of card or some sort of way to electronically count each bed would be the best route to go besides sending officers. I think it's a big waste of officers' dollars to go out and kick people out of where they're staying safe for the moment. I'm really glad that you guys as code enforcement are working with this already existing outreach teams and you're going out there and helping cleaning up and bringing trash bags and things like that. I think that's really essential. I've been cautioning us for 3 or 4 years now on prosecuting these folks and putting them in prison or jail for this type of offense because we don't have a good handle on how many beds are available. And I keep getting emails. We have this many, we have that many, we don't have any. And there's no consistency. And so it just gets really confusing for me as somebody who's trying to advocate and help people who are actually currently experiencing homelessness. A lot of my Facebook messages and text messages come from people who don't have houses and are looking for meal site programs or beds or shelter beds or whatever. And I can never get clear answers. Even sometimes when I call, because the check-in time is really, at 9 o'clock, what time do you check in to see when do they close, all that. It's a lot to manage and juggle. So there just needs to be, and I know this isn't really your department, Carly, but I just feel like there really needs to be some continuity and some electronic, number counting so that we don't get it wrong. Because I do feel like we are really getting close to that line of constitutionality. So thank you for your hard work, though. I know that you guys do a lot, and I've gone on a ride along with you to see the work that you do. And I know that you guys care a lot and that you're just trying to help all people involved, which we know not everybody's going to be happy. So you guys have a tough job. So thank you.
And so, Councilmember Burke, we're going to talk a little bit about, you kind of helped us go into our next subject because we're going to talk about low barrier shelters and how we are going to count, how are we going to keep track, how are people going to know that something is available. And it's been a problem, as you said, for years. This is not something that's brand new. So we'll hear about that in a minute. Now we're right up against our time. Does anybody else have a quick question before we go on? Good. All right. So, Council President Beggs, you want to kick this off?
Yeah, I just want to invite Tim and Ortesia to share with us. We currently have a spreadsheet that our staff generates internally, but it mixes low barrier beds and non-low barrier beds, and it mixes 24/7 beds and non-24/7 beds. And I'm just hoping that we would have a report just with the low barrier 24/7 beds and then an auxiliary report with other options, because sometimes there are people that are eligible for those and would be a good fit. But also then just an update on our bed capacity, because we lost a bunch of beds for a while, but now I think maybe they've been restored. And then finally, just the update on that outwardly facing dashboard, because we had a presentation from the woman who designed it in October, late October, and it was a few weeks away from being deployed, and we still haven't, but I understand there might have even been a meeting today. We're getting close. So just love to hear from staff on that.
Thank you, Council President. I think TJ and I will tag team this one, as there's a lot of things going on between these two conversations with our camping pods and with our dashboard, as well as our nightly capacity reports. it's extremely complicated. We all know this. We're trying to piece it together the best that we can with the resources that we have available. And I think that we've made a lot of steps compared to 2.5 years ago when I first came in. To speak to Councilmember Burke and the card, we definitely need something like that. We know that there's complications that come with the card because people lose IDs, and how do we get that? We've had this conversation for a long time as well. That doesn't mean that's not one part to the solution, though. There's also biometrics and other things that our CMIS team have been working on with partners for quite some time. The live up-to-date reports, probably the most important things that we need to talk about there is that every agency does something separate, so their intake time is different, whether they're 24/7 or not. And Council President, we can absolutely add that to our report that we have that goes out nightly, whether it's 24/7 or night by night. The dashboard that you're speaking to would also do that already. So that's a built into the system to show what types of shelters do what. And I think would probably be a great thing to do is to have PD do some kind of study session with council to show them what this dashboard looks like. It's still in the beta phase right now, and we're making a lot of changes to make sure that we can address all of these complicating factors. There was a meeting last Monday with our providers, and there's one going on in 7 minutes from now that we're having to make sure that we can get the buy-in from them on using this dashboard. So we have a built system now that PD and IT worked on and did a great job. They've gone through many, many different factors that you are all talking about and that other community advocates have brought up to us to make it work the best for outward facing so that we're using it. And really what I think we also need to focus on is this dashboard is not just for enforcement purposes. That's not the point of it. The point is so that people and agencies and advocates can access this as up to date as possible, which that dashboard will show. So if one, say, House of Charity reports out at 7:15 p.m., this is what their capacity report is, at least you'll know within a couple hours if they're getting close to full or not. But again, this is to support the entire community. It's not for enforcement purposes alone. And so, like I said, we are meeting with our community providers today and last Monday to make sure that they have the ability and the resources to do up-to-date reporting as much as they can. We know one of the complicating factors is during intake time is going to be a very difficult time for them to report out because they have 100 people coming in and they're trying to get them settled for the night. They're trying to get them fed. They're trying to, get to the point where their staff can actually do that type of work. So to the point of a card or biometrics, that would help somewhat. But we're trying to get closer to within a couple hours of having accurate information. And the dashboard that you should see, if you haven't seen it already, does address a lot of that. So I can just click on one of the agencies and it gives all the information that you need to know. Their intake times, when you have to leave, is it 24/7? What is their full capacity and where are they at right now? It's the live, like every to the second or minute, that's the most difficult part. And we've identified that for a very long time, and that is why we're at the point now, last week and today, where we're meeting with the providers to be able to talk through that. So they have presented what some of their issues are as far as being able to report internally and to our CMIS team. And between this dashboard and the CMIS team, they're coming up with solutions right now to get that commitment. Tisha, you were raising your finger. You want to jump in?
Yeah, I just wanted to add one thing because, Council President, you did ask about the timing of this dashboard going live. Shauna Ernst and I connected at the end of last week, and we're talking about a pilot phase starting in the next week or two. We just wanted to get through this last meeting with the providers to ensure that we had buy-in across the system and that everybody really understood what it is and the value for them. Because as Tim mentioned, this is, for me and for CHHS, this is certainly enforcement is a component, but the biggest part of it is helping our shelter operators refer people to available beds, be able to get people access to spaces that work for them. So we wanted to just ensure that all the operators got to have a preview of that dashboard, and then we'll start a pilot phase to get that on board this month.
Councilmember Monk, go ahead.
I think I heard what I was going to ask, and Tisha just mentioned it. But, from what I've heard is, sometimes some providers have excess beds, but other providers are overflow. So this is to help them. Is this to help them refer? Like, okay, we have 10 extra people, but there's 10 spaces over here. Is that so we aren't having to go through the police to get there, and et cetera? Is that what I heard you say?
Yes, absolutely, Councilmember Mumm. For us, one of the most critical pieces from CHHS's perspective is that access and that connection for referrals, so that people have a space that works for them, that's safe and accessible, and they know where to get referred to.
Is Councilmember Cathcart, is that your hand up?
It is, yeah.
Go ahead.
I guess I was just thinking. I mean, obviously, having a system in place to see these numbers updated is going to be really a big improvement. But I think without some kind of, doesn't have to be real time, but close to real time, I'm just not sure that it's going to be all that effective overall. And I realize there's issues here, but there are so many automation tools that exist out there. We've got a lot of people in our community who understand software development. Frankly, I think we should put out a call for help and try to crowdsource a solution. I'm sure we could come up with a lot of options that would be beneficial to this and probably a lot of other aspects to city business as well.
Good point. Councilmember Wilkerson, then Beggs.
Thank you. I'm just going to piggyback Councilmember Cathcart, because the frustrating thing I heard was these numbers are not used for enforcement. They're used for the safety of our people, but then these numbers are used for enforcement. And so it's just, it feels like a no-win situation for the people who are unhoused, and really inequities. It's just disturbing. And I know CHHS has been working on this, but really as a city, I think we could do a better job.
And I just wanted to share something I shared with Tim last week of just not letting the perfect be the enemy of the good. I just think it's important to get this up and that we just have a count twice a day, in the evening, in the mid-morning, and know not so much that we have to have precision. I think down the road we'll get it. The big obstacle is people in these operating these shelters having time to do that. But I'm less interested in whether or not there's one bed left or not, as generally is it full or generally is it empty, so that people who are literally without a house can check on a smartphone if they have one or someone they know and go, should I venture out to Truth Ministries on East Sprague or not? Is there a decent chance? And so that's what I'm looking for, not just for the law enforcement, not just for the providers, but just everyday people who are incorporating. And so I'm really encouraged that we're going to get up a beta version and just get it there, because it doesn't have to be perfect for us to start getting the benefit of it. And then as we get it up, and then I'm imagining that providers, we will put in their contract that if you want to get paid for that day, you've got to enter the data that day, and they'll do it. It's just right now, most of these contracts, we're in the middle of them. So super glad we're getting there. I think it will make a big difference, especially as we sometimes utilize non-traditional providers that the people out on the street don't really know about or aren't familiar that they would be welcome there.
I want to thank both Tisha and Tim. I know how hard it is and how hard you all work, and we still have a ways to go. But council, from what I'm hearing, council is supportive and wanting to move forward and really get a handle on this, solve some problems, and make sure that I would like to be the example rather than the city that's just trying to catch up. So let's see if we can get there. That's the end of our meeting. I'm going to, unless there's something else, we're at 3:01, and it's a long meeting. I appreciate you all sticking with me. As you notice, I am upstairs in my home office. This is the first time I've been up here in 4 months, and I climbed the stairs by myself. So I'm happy. And we'll see you next month. First Monday in March. Thanks, everybody.